happened? Mm-hmm. And we want to bring on Joe Cameron here, who had a interesting column in the Post. Joe, and I guess just first of all, what did you make of that turn of events Friday night? Because it was kind of I mean, curveball was what I thought. I just was watching, and then I was like, oh, they're going to ask him questions. And then Senator Pito was like, oh, wait a minute.
And also, you actually testified, is that correct, on this bill when it went up for a public hearing, and is a former member, I'm not sure how long ago, of the GovGuam health negotiation team?
Yes, of course. I sat on several of them.
Right.
So
I think what's going on here is we I don't know why anybody would call the courts in whenever they already have choice, and why would you ask them to relinquish it? It's like it's a charade of sorts. And you know what? When we say the court is doing their own thing, but of course they're practicing choice, isn't it?
By doing their own thing.
Yeah. So what are we using the word sabotage? Do you think that this was an effort to sabotage this choice bill to call in the courts?
Let's put it in a few words. Remember the Greyhound here, the racetrack?
Yeah.
Well, if you've ever watched the Greyhound run, they have like a proverbial rabbit. It's in front of them, and they never catch the rabbit. This bill is one of them. It was a proverbial carrot of sorts, which just ended up with a large amount of amendments, larger than life. The bill itself was simple. The wording was simple. It was changed dramatically. Nowadays you just can't, as an elected official, do too much posturing. It's not a smart move these days. The electorate watched, and especially since we're home, most of us were home, and we want to know, and thousands of folks who are GovGuam employees. But more importantly, I think it is important, Sabina and Chris, that we do have a great demand nowadays for better care. And I want to talk about private industry, if you don't mind. Mm-hmm. I think private industry, if you look at private industry, the majority of them a lot of them don't even insure the employees. And here we are, we're ratio rich here in comparison because we have thousands. So the pool is greater. But I worry because when costs escalate, the taxpayers of Guam pay for that. So whatever was presupposed as an $11 million increase could escalate to $40 million with our current insurance situation. This is shouldered by the people of Guam. And I believe, and we've always had this for years until the last legislature killed it. We've always had choice. And in doing so, people compete in a level playing field saying, okay, we want some of this pool. So they lower their rates. It's just naturally that way. But this is not what's going on now in Guam, especially for the huge pool of GovGuam employees. I mean, it's phenomenal. This responsibility that you throw in the laps of, the healthcare insurance negotiator for thousands and thousands of people. And then, you say, okay, well, they did a bad thing. Well, guess what? They were just doing what the law told them to do. You can't fault the insurance negotiation folks or the Department of Administration. It's the lawmakers' responsibility to bring back this choice. And Friday, as most of us saw it, it went awry. The legislation went awry, setting choice to the back burner as though seemingly and purposely, as you so stated, sabotage. And this is the exact words of Senator Pito Terlais. It seemed that the author was really voicing disappointment of this bill, the demise of this bill. And so we are dissatisfied as GovGuam employees. I want to say the majority of us. Some of us are not out there speaking loudly, but I've received left and right all kinds of emails and texts just this morning from the Post article that I wrote, letter to the editor. I'm inundated. And people are saying, come on, guys, we had this before. What was wrong with it? It wasn't broken. Why didn't you break it?
Well, I think also what happened, Joe, is that this was something that they started discussing on Monday, and I don't know if anyone saw it coming. I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't on the agenda or anything, but I mean, people were just kind of blindsided by it, and the debate turned into something running downhill for 4 days where everybody and their cousin was trying to tack on amendments.
I've never, I've worked for 3 senators. I've worked for 4 governors. I've done a lot here in Guam for the public. And I have never seen anything like it in my 35 plus years.
I think there was a homeless guy walking by the legislature, and they're like, "Hey, you got an amendment you want to throw on here?" Okay.
What do you think is happening here?
I think what's happening is that there's pressures from different directions. I don't know what pressures they may be, but there must be pressures for these folks to act the way they did. It's kind of like protecting the golden egg. I don't know what the golden egg is, but I think the golden egg should be the people of Guam. And that the people of Guam are really concerned as a general. I mean, just because you're a GovGuam employee doesn't mean you're a GovGuam employee. Come on, you got kids who work in private sector, for God's sakes, and they're affected as well. So you know what? I think we got to go back to basics. Give the choice issue back. Give it back. Come on. There's no exclusivity provider that we're looking for. We're not looking for anything other than what is rightfully our choice. It's a moral issue to me to be able to make such a decision on behalf of my family, and everybody else that's couching on this. I mean, you guys are in private sector. I'm in private sector. I feel the pain of the private sector. We're the ones that hurt so much. I'll give you an example. I'm on furlough. Okay, I'm on furlough. I work for private sector. I haven't worked since March 20th. But thank God that I'm a retiree and I have insurance. But what about those folks who have no insurance to begin with, or who have no income to begin with? And we're looking at the fat cash cow here, which is GovGuam. And I hate to say it, but it's true. There's disparity in this community, and it's mounting. It's mounting surmountably. It's crazy. It's total lunacy. And you know what? I don't want to say which senator screwed up or which senator did well. That's not for me to say. The electorate come November will say a lot more than I would ever as a single voice. We got to take care of the people of Guam. The private sector is in pain. The GovGuam employees are also in pain when it comes to health care. We've got to balance this out. Competition is what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for exclusive. I don't want exclusivity. I don't want it. It hurts me. It hurts the people of Guam. It hurts the government family. And I think it's terrible. It is just absolutely terrible.
Right. And you know what's also terrible is the fact that you have the Mayor's Council of Guam who are there on the front lines. They know what their community wants and their constituents. And they passed this resolution encouraging and urging senators to give choice. And yet their voices weren't heard. And you see all of this stuff that happened on session floor where all these changes were happening. And then Senator Pito Terlai was like, enough is enough. Now he's going to have to go back to the drawing board, introduce another bill. We're going to go through another round of public hearings. And people are going to be saying the same thing. That they want choice.
You know what? There's a lack of political will going on right now here. And it's just not going to break. I mean,
Joe,
we'll have to make that decision.
Do you think that it goes back to what I was saying about maybe people didn't know? Because
the people that knew are the ones that are down at the Guam Congress building.
Right. But remember, we had this resolution from the mayors. We had this petition with, I think, couple thousand signatures on it. So the demand was there. It was there before COVID, and I think what ended up happening is I don't know if the retirees and the employees really understand what was at stake here, and maybe they thought that they were gonna deal with it after the COVID, and I don't know. I mean, your column went out there. People have been talking about it. We were talking about it last week. Do you think people now are a little more aware of what just happened?
I think so, especially since you spoke about the retirees. And I just wanted to just comment a little bit about that. When you are a retiree and you're over the age of 70, You seem to think that things are already taken care of. You gave your 40 plus years, your 30 plus years to the government. God rest on us that we're all taken care of in our healthcare needs. That has always been the mantra that we always felt as a community of individuals who retired from this government. But what had happened was that these folks who felt that they didn't need to go in because they were either on the $1,500 deductible, the $2,000 deductible, or the supplemental retirement plan, whatever it may be of the three choices you had as a deductible or not. You felt that if you didn't go back to the government, which is retirement, and said, hey, I want status quo, they were expecting, in this point, they were expecting Select Care to be their choice, because that was their choice. But it isn't. They came back and they saw something else. Aetna is a good company. They're a huge company. They've got things that they can offer the people of Guam, but not, sometimes when you look at off-island versus on-island, the bird in hand rather than the two in the bush. The two in the bush is off-island. The bird in hand is here. We've had Stay Well, we've had Pacific Care, we've got Net Care, we've got Select Care, and all the cares in the world. But people here in Guam have a cultural sensitivity to Inakamali. They have a face on the other side right then and there that makes decisions locally. And that doesn't seem to be the case currently for a lot of folks who are waiting in line, who are hurting and are saying, hey, we're not saying bad things about Aetna, but we have a choice, and some of us don't want Aetna. We want a choice. And that is not to hurt anybody, but choice.
I mean, maybe it's not that they don't want it. Maybe they just want someone else.
I think at this point, the real choice is going to be when people head to the polls.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, I don't see this being resolved right now.
Right, yeah.
I see some folks going down. I hate to say it, but it's the God honest truth. I mean, I'm not the only person that votes, but there's a lot of people out there who have a lot of hinging on this whole situation of, hey, how does this impact our community at large? Healthcare is paramount. Education is paramount. Mm-hmm. Safety is paramount. See the top three of the tiers? Well, one of the tiers is hurting right now, and it hurts both private and public.
Mm-hmm. Well, people need to start paying attention. Don't let everything that's happening with the COVID or BLM distract you from some of the issues that are happening right in front of our faces, but we just aren't paying attention. So you need to care.
Yeah, and I want to say over and over again, choice is paramount here. Whether you want an off-island provider or an on-island provider, they're both great providers. Mm-hmm. Let's be honest, they're good. They're good folks, and we want them to continue having interest in us because it will drive the cost down. We don't want to hurt Aetna. We don't want to hurt anybody locally. We want to drive that pool so that we can lower our rates. And you know what? Here's the thing. If the pool says on one side that you want me by choice, but I'm more expensive than Aetna, then you got to shoulder that burden. You have to. The private sector is doing it for God's sake. GovGuam should do the same.
I thought it was interesting, Joe, when Aetna, they tried to have some kind of informational hearing with Aetna, and the senators were told oh, we can't answer anything. You got to write it, and we got to send it off to the main headquarters, and they were okay with it. But then when the governor's legal counsel came down for an oversight hearing, and they did the exact same thing, everyone got mad, and I just was like, where's the consistency?
Well, you know what? Let's be fair here. We've got a huge company, a multi-billion-dollar corporation that has great interest in Guam and the people of Guam, and I have no problems with that. Really, 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 I don't. I think that's great. I mean, when are you going to get that opportunity again in the future? We don't want to kick people out who want to show interest in Guam. And if it means increasing the pool, why not? But right now, we're not increasing the pool.
Yeah.
What's the next move, Joe? Are you just going to keep making noise about this until Election Day? Or because I know Senator Pito had said that in the clip we just played that he might reintroduce the bill. I don't know which amendments he was referring to that he would put in there.
You know, it's like lawyers. You put 10 in the room, they have 10 freaking different opinions. So you got 15 senators down there. They all have their opinion. One says it won't work, the other will. I mean, when does this come in to a consensus? When does it? When? I can't speak for 15, but I can speak for my vote. That's all I can tell you. And the people of Guam need to look at this. This is not a GovGuam issue alone. This is an entire community issue because it impacts the private sector and how they end up paying for premiums. But it is, after all, the taxpayers paying a lot of these premiums, you know, because the GovGuam employee just pays a little.
Mm-hmm.
But where do you think the greater amount of money for the premiums comes on the side of the government? The taxpayers, for God's sakes. And we got to start thinking about that. They're helping us.
Your prediction, Joe, you think that they'll discuss this, a new bill will be introduced before the election?
They could do what they want, but it's not going to happen. Nothing's going to change unless they have a consensus for change.
Right.
And that means hold her down. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm concerned about you. And let's be honest. Take care of everybody that has an interest to service the public. And those insurance companies have an interest. Why not? And to be fair, to be honestly fair, why would you try to throw this in when already the bid applications were put in? You can't touch the current. You can't hurt the current bidding process just because you think you want choice. Hey, everybody in hell wants ice water too. So you can't do that. You got to do it for the following year. You have to. You got to be fair to everybody. You can't do everything, you know, on a spur of the moment. You've got to be fair. So,
I mean, but on the flip side again, Joe, this is something that we were supposed to discuss, you know, way before COVID, but then the COVID happened. So I can see why they would want to entertain it. I mean, it's relevant. Hey, you know what you said about everybody in hell wants ice water? I think part of the problem here is that some people want iced tea.
Sweetened or unsweetened?
Yeah.
Issue that the legislature has. Do you want sweetened or unsweetened?
I like my sweets, that's for sure.
Well, God bless you all.
Well, thank you, Joe.
Guam.
Okay,
Right on.
take care.
Wash your hands.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. Joe Cameron there, 9:09. Hey, we're taking a little break, and we're back with more of the KUAM News takeover, Guam's favorite. We're going to try and squeeze in as many guests as we can in the next 50 minutes of broadcast extravaganza for you guys here. Good morning.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671.